What's happening? And welcome to, I think, day number 7 on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. I always get confused around this time because Monday's day 1, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, day 7. I'm gonna hop onto the goat trail, which is running right outside of where I'm camped at here, which is a nice little open hunt camp outside of a wilderness area. And the goat trail runs right over there, so I'm gonna hop back onto the goat trail. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. Like I said last night, I'm trying to hurry up and get back before it gets too cold. That's the current situation. I'm gonna finish making this coffee, finish packing up all my stuff, and then I'm gonna hit the road. All right, so I made quick work of packing up, making the coffee, brushing my teeth, doing all that fun stuff, and now it's time to go. It is 11:11, so I'm headed out a little bit later than what I wanted to. I'm not gonna travel onto the goat trail like originally I thought maybe I would, so I'm gonna have to save that for another time, perhaps whenever I circle back around to this area at some point in the next year or two. That said, I did want to go over though, sometimes whenever I'm looking for a route to take that's different than the route that I'm on, or perhaps I don't have a route at all, one of the ways that I do that is I treat the end destination like the end goal of one of those maze games that you played as a kid. And of course my start destination is where I'm currently at, and then I work my way backwards, and that typically will allow me to find a route. So now is one of those times where I'm going to use that technique in order to find a route out of where I'm at currently right now inside of this wildlife management area. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Gaia app here. I'm going to put it up on there so you guys can see what I'm doing, but I'm gonna zoom in here, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna look for roads that kind of lead off where I'm at. I can see that one there, those dashed lines there, those are hit or miss. Sometimes they're good roads, sometimes they're gated private ingress, egress, or entrances and exits. So where I wanna go though is down here in the, not the light green area, that's part of the goat, but this right here though is part of the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. So I wanna end up down there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, let's see, that N4500 road looks like it might be a good one. So I'll take that road. Okay, so that road ends, and then it comes up to another road that goes up through Kenwood, Ben Smith Hollow. And then you can see I can go right here and connect right back to the goat trail, which I'm on, which is only right down the road. So that's going to be my route. Now, another way that I could do this is with the help of Gaia, I can start right here, hit mode, do driving, put another point right there, put another point right there, another point right there, and another point right there. And as you can see, it will actually show me a route to take right there, and it gives me some distance markers at 2.3 miles, 2.3 miles, 0.8 miles, 2.6 miles. So I know that taking that route right there, if miles mattered, down here at the corner it tells me that that's going to be an 8-mile journey, and I'm going to travel about 224 foot in elevation. So that's pretty cool, and that's one of the neat features about Gaia, is the fact that it'll snap to those roads like that. I could set a point here and then set a point over here, and it would find a route for me as well. Or if I wanted to be super lazy about it, I could just set that point down there and tell it that I want to go here, and again, it's gonna tell me a route to take. Really cool feature that Gaia has right there. So that's the way that I typically do it, and by doing that I found some fantastic trails, and I imagine that this is not going to be any different. So we'll go ahead and put that on there, go here, and we know that we want to go here, so it's going to go ahead and map it out for us. Now we got a little map, and we'll call it Get Back to Oat. There you go. So that's how I make a route whenever I don't have one already pre-planned, or if I'm just out exploring an area. That's one of the ways that I do it. See what I mean? This is one of the roads that was automatically mapped on Gaia for me whenever I just set up my points there. And this is no different than the roads that I've been on, right? Pretty cool that Gaia allows you to be able to do that. In my opinion, having some sort of GPS mapping software is an absolute must, and 𝐼𝐴 GPS is my favorite to date. You can use it on a computer, a tablet, or a phone, and with the premium version you can use it offline, meaning you don't need cell signal for it to work. It's got tons of functionality, features, and customization that I'll get into in a future video dedicated solely to 𝐼𝐴. If you don't already have some sort of mapping software, I highly recommend 𝐼𝐴. There's a link down in the description that'll get you a discount on it, as well as helps to support the channel and future content, so I'd appreciate you using that link. Well, as you can see, the mountains were short-lived, and now we're right back in the flatlands of Oklahoma. Really crazy how the scenery changes so much here, and literally right behind me is where the mountainous area was, which looks just like the other mountainous regions of the U.S. in the southeast, so like Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, the Ozarks, and Arkansas, things like that. But then you come up on top of the plateau, or the hill, so to speak, and next thing you know, you're right back into this flat land of Oklahoma. I imagine this will happen throughout the day and throughout the rest of this trip now that we're on this eastern portion. But I must say, I'm pretty excited to see mountains again. I was starting to get tired of seeing nothing but flatlands, cows, and long straight roads.
I guess that's the strongest meth in the world. That's what the addictionologist at rehab told me, and they said.
This is a long detour. I'm having to really go out of the way to get back on and over the Illinois River. I tell you what, though, the Illinois River is beautiful. Being alongside of it, I bet during good weather, this is real pretty. I just wish that I could get past the damn thing. All right, finally back on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. I had to go all the way around my asshole to get to my elbow, but we're finally here. I think that might be a bald eagle. I'm not sure. I'll zoom in and post and see. Check that little guy out, huh? That'd be cool to have. That's pretty neat. So this area that I'm in of Oklahoma is on the map, and signs show that it says it's Cherokee Nation. I've also crossed over a couple historical markers that say, you know, Trail of Tears, historical markers, different things like that. I'm not sure if this is Cherokee Nation or, you know, Indian reservation land or what. But yeah, pretty interesting kind of side note there. Leave a comment down below if you know. Is Cherokee Nation Oklahoma, is that part of the Indian tribe Cherokee Nation? Is it just an area of Oklahoma named that? You know, what is it? Typically, 𝐼𝐴 will have the Indian reservation and Indian lands boundaries kind of listed on their maps, and I don't see any here shaded or anything like that, but it does have signs all over the place. Also, another interesting side note about Oklahoma is the amount of trash. There's a good amount of trash, particularly in this area, all over the place, really. But I've noticed it in this area. In the past 2 days, I've seen 3 people just toss shit outside of their car while they're driving down the road. It's the craziest thing. The other thing is you know, riding by and seeing all the trash in people's yards and stuff like that. At what point do you think that it should become an environmental hazard, and that something should be done on somebody's property, or, you know, the EPA or similar type organization should get involved? At what point do you think that should happen? Obviously, it's kind of a touchy deal, right? Because if it's our property, it's our property. We can kind of do whatever we want. But whenever your shit is so packed full of trash, and you got trash and shit blowing all over the yard and stuff like that. At what point does it become something that, you know, now it's becoming harmful to others, which is kind of the idea, right? Like I'm all for everybody having their own freedoms up until it harms others. So if your trash and bullshit starts flying into my yard and our streets and our streams and different things like that, I think that organizations and governments and law enforcement should be able to take action. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. This is what I was talking about. You can't see it, but over on the left-hand side is trash that is blown there from the people over here on the right-hand side's house and yard. It's crazy, man. Like, how do you get out of your driveway every single day and look at your shit that's blown into other, you know, surrounding areas and not even comprehend that that's an issue? It's unbelievable. We in the clouds and it's cold. Check that thing out. This particular Sunday happened to be Super Bowl Sunday, and while I'm not an NFL fan or a football fan for that matter, I'll use it as an excuse to go by a brewery and have a cold drink and a warm meal anytime. So I stopped by the Bricktown Brewery here in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and did just that. So it's almost 11 o'clock, and I'm still looking for a campsite because the one that I was going to stay at was closed, changed, or never was a campsite. I'm not real sure. But that's the current situation. Looking for camp late at night. At last, I finally found camp. It's past 11 o'clock. The first campsite I tried to go to was non-existent. I don't know why they marked it on the map because I didn't see a campsite, though it was dark. That's the current situation. I'm gonna go ahead and try to upload this video, and then I'll catch you guys in the mañana. Good morning, what's happening? It is day number 8 on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, and check out that view, huh? How pretty is that? So I came up here to this little overlook right here and decided that I would fix my coffee and everything right here, and then from here hop back onto the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. I have almost completed the trail. I suspect that I'll probably be done with it either by tonight or midday tomorrow, just in time for the cold weather to come. Now I know this sounds crazy, but last night it was actually a warmer 39 degrees, so I was quite pleased. My feet didn't freeze up into little icicles. But anyway, that's the current situation. I'm gonna go ahead and get the coffee and all brewed and head on down the road. Hey, look, snow. Side note, the mud here, stickier than stepping in dog shit. I done rinsed off in that little water crossing a couple times. My shoes, it ain't coming off. In the clouds at the 𝗏𝐻𝐻𝐻 National Forest. So I've been traveling around this national forest for a while. Starts with an O, but it's pronounced 𝗏𝐻𝐻𝐻. Kind of weird, but hey, it is what it is. Not a whole lot to see here because, like I said, we're in the clouds. I hate that because the scenery here is beautiful. So you can't dial up the weather every day. It just is what it is. Well, look at here. 1,500 and some odd miles. And I've finally come to my very first technical section of the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. And I actually had to put it in 4-wheel drive on this part here. You know, I could have maybe made it in 2-wheel drive, especially if it was dry conditions, but with the wet conditions it was a little bit slippery. Plus I like to go as easy on the old Apple here as I possibly can. So if I put it in 4 low, it doesn't work near as hard and it just works out better for all involved, you know what I mean? Speaking of slipping and sliding, I'm still slipping and sliding. I do wish that we weren't up in the clouds though. Man, I bet the scenery is absolutely beautiful. Maybe one day I'll be able to make it back here whenever it's bright and sunshiny days, you know what I mean? Through these obstacles, I'm doing something a bit different than what I normally do. I do have it in 4 low, which I typically do that whenever it gets like this anyway. This time though, I've got A-Track on, and A-Track I typically don't use. The primary reason that I'm using it today is because I just kind of want to play with it, but essentially what it is it's active traction, and it kind of simulates having a locker up front. That's going to provide a lot better traction on these slippery trails here, and with the mud and the wetness and rocks and all that, it's definitely slippery. Now I do pretty regularly use the multi-level terrain selection tool in the 4Runner here. I use that pretty often, and I think it's pretty much the same thing, but nonetheless this time I've just got straight active track on, or A-Tracks. Eventually we're gonna have to go down, and hopefully the trail down is not washed out and muddy, you know? These rocks definitely make for a slow day's travel though. Any and all speed that I had going into this little bit here, it's completely gone. Well, this looks like it might be fun. Nice and slick on the left side, trench on the right. What I'm probably gonna do is actually stay to the right. I don't want to slide down into that thing, so I'll just kind of straddle it. If I do slide down into it, then I'll be able to use those rocks to get up. Shouldn't be too bad. You know, I think I must say I kind of like the 8-track better. So multi-level terrain is similar to 8-track, but it's kind of like pre-programmed for certain conditions like mud, sand, rocks, moguls, different things like that. 8-track, just as soon as it feels a slip, it reacts immediately. And I don't know that I don't know that multi-level terrain does that. I'm not real sure, but so far I can say that I like 8-track. It gives me a good bit more traction. Kind of upset that I haven't used it more often now. I just thought that it was the same exact thing as the multi-level terrain select, you know? Glad I used it. Here's some of the descent here. Luckily, you know, it doesn't make for a smooth ride, but luckily these rocks are here. This would be a nightmare if it was just mud. I am in 4 low, first gear, just crawling. No reason to get in a hurry out here on terrain like this. As I said before, slow sometimes is too fast. I'm going through the little town of Hugo, Oklahoma, which is the winter home of the traveling circus since the 1930s. Interesting piece there. There is a circus cemetery along the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, which you could go take a look at. I decided to forego the circus cemetery. It's not really, I don't really like hanging out with dead people, you know what I mean? After passing through Hugo, it was back onto these farm roads where I rode into the night, into Denison, Oklahoma, where I started the trail, and then back home. All right, I am back home 1,862 miles later, and I am back to base camp, which is our travel trailer. We are currently staying outside of Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texas, and I must tell you, I'm glad to be home. That was probably one of the more monotonous trips. As far as, you know, exciting, it wasn't really that exciting. Today was exciting because I got to go on some technical trails, different things like that. So that was nice, but as far as excitement, it didn't really offer a whole lot of excitement. Like I've said this whole time, it's just long farm roads. And that's what it is. 1,862 miles of it. Would I do it again? No. Will I go to different parts of Oklahoma again? Absolutely. Those sand dunes were badass. The salt flats would have been really cool to see. And then that eastern portion of Oklahoma, I'd be happy to go and explore around that area too. There's some cool campsites in Oklahoma that I found that if passing through, I'd be more than happy to stop by. But as far as going back to Oklahoma for another trip, I'm Oklahoma'd out. Hey, look, I really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more adventures like this one. And until next time, peace.